Crystal chandeliers spilled light over silk gowns and tailored suits, turning every surface into something reflective and sharp. Laughter floated through the air, light and careless, the kind that came from people who had never counted coins before buying groceries. I stood just inside the service entrance, my fingers curled around the stem of a champagne flute, careful not to spill a drop. My feet throbbed inside shoes that were half a size too small, bought on sale because they looked acceptable from a distance. Acceptable was all I ever aimed for. Christmas music drifted from hidden speakers, some slow jazz version of a carol I'd grown up hearing on the radio when my life still felt simple. The smell of pine from a towering Christmas tree mixed with expensive perfume and warm food. Everything here was polished, curated, effortless. Everything except me. I wore a black vest and white shirt like armor, blending into the background the way I'd learned to do over the years. Invisible servers were the best servers. We moved quietly, refilled glasses before they were empty, disappeared before anyone could look too closely. Being unseen was a skill I had perfected. It kept me safe. It kept questions away. It let me survive. As I walked between clusters of guests, I caught fragments of conversation. Investment deals, vacation homes, complaints about flight delays that cost more than my monthly rent. I nodded politely when someone reached for a drink, smiled when required, kept my eyes lowered. If I didn't draw attention, I could get through the night, collect my pay, go home to my small apartment and the silence that waited there. My body ached with the kind of exhaustion that settled deep in the bones. 3 jobs, late nights, early mornings, bills stacked on my kitchen counter like quiet threats. Student loan statements I didn't open anymore. I carried all of it with me, tucked behind my ribs, hidden beneath professional calm. No one here needed to know how close I lived to the edge. I paused near the bar to adjust my grip on the tray, letting myself breathe for half a second. The mirror behind the shelves caught my reflection. Pale face, tired eyes, hair pulled back too tightly because loose strands looked unprofessional. I barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked older than her years, worn thin by disappointment and stubborn pride. I turned away from the mirror just as a ripple of laughter rolled across the room, louder than the rest, sharper. It sliced through the soft music and landed somewhere uncomfortably close to my chest. I didn't look at first. I told myself it didn't matter. None of this mattered. Then I heard his voice. Confident, familiar. The kind of voice that once whispered promises late at night and walked away without looking back. My hand tightened around the tray. I hadn't seen him in months, not since he left with excuses dressed up as honesty, not since he decided my struggles were inconvenient, my exhaustion unattractive, my need too much. I told myself I was past it, that I'd stitched myself back together with long shifts and quiet resolve. But pain doesn't disappear just because you refuse to look at it. I stayed where I was, heart beating faster than it should have. I focused on the floor, on the steady rhythm of my steps, on the rule that had kept me alive this long. Don't engage, don't react, don't be seen. Around me, the party sparkled brighter, louder, as if the room itself were leaning toward something inevitable. I felt it then, a tension in the air. A subtle wrongness that raised the fine hairs on my arms, the sense you get right before something breaks. I told myself it was nothing, just nerves, just memories stirring where they didn't belong. Still, my stomach tightened. My shoulders drew in slightly, instinctively protecting what little space I had left. I moved farther along the wall, closer to the exit, already planning my escape route for later. Finish the shift, leave quietly. Pretend none of this touched me. I had survived worse than a room full of strangers and ghosts from my past. I knew how to endure, how to make myself small, how to disappear when the world became too sharp. What I didn't know yet was that invisibility was about to fail me, and that the glittering room, with all its lights and laughter, was moments away from turning into something far more dangerous than humiliation. I felt it in my chest, heavy and unavoidable. Something was about to go wrong. The laughter came first, loud, careless, sharp. It cut through the music and made my shoulders stiffen before I even knew why. I told myself not to look. I told myself to keep moving. Invisibility, only worked if you committed to it. Then his voice followed. Confident, amused, familiar. A voice that once said my name like it meant something. A voice that learned how to leave without apologizing. My steps slowed before I could stop myself. My heart began to pound, not fast, but heavy, like it already knew the damage that was coming. I shifted the tray in my hands and turned slightly, just enough to see him from the corner of my eye. Marcus. He stood near the center of the room, like he belonged there. Perfectly tailored suit, relaxed posture, drink in hand. Everything about him screamed comfort, power, certainty. And beside him was a woman in a red dress, so tight and flawless, it looked painted onto her body. She laughed at something he whispered into her ear. Her hand rested possessively on his arm. My chest tightened. Not jealousy, not anymore. It was something older, heavier. The memory of promises that evaporated when things got hard. The echo of being told I was temporary. I should have turned away. I should have disappeared into the crowd. But fate has a cruel sense of timing. His eyes lifted. They landed on me. And recognition sparked. The smile on his face changed. It sharpened. Slowly, deliberately. Like a blade being drawn. Well, I will be damned. Is that Emma? My name carried across the room. Not shouted. Not whispered. Spoken just loud enough to turn heads. I froze. The woman in red followed his gaze. Her eyes swept over me head to toe. The uniform. The tray. The cheap shoes. Her lips curved in a slow, mocking smile. I felt the room shift. Conversations dulled. Attention drifted. People loved a spectacle. Marcus took a step toward me. Then another. The woman followed her heels, clicking softly against the floor. I tried to move. Tried to step back. But my legs felt rooted like the marble beneath them. I did not know you worked here, he said, his tone dripping with false surprise. Wait, are you actually serving drinks? The words landed hard. Heat rushed to my face. My grip tightened on the tray. I am working, I said quietly. Excuse me. The woman laughed. Bright, sharp, cruel. You dated a server. That is adorable. Marcus chuckled, not denying it. She was not always like this, he said, looking me over with open disdain. Life did not exactly work out, did it? The crowd drew closer. Not enough to intervene. Just enough to watch. I could feel every eye on me. Measuring. Judging. Enjoying. I thought you were going to finish your degree. Marcus continued. Then again, that costs money. And you never had much without me. Something inside me cracked. Not loudly. Not visibly. But enough that I felt it. You did not support me, I said, my voice barely holding. You just took. He laughed. Loud. Unbothered. I gave you the best months of your life. And this is how you end up. Serving people like us. The woman leaned closer. Whispered something in his ear. They both smiled. I felt small. Exposed. Stripped of every layer of protection I had built. I tried to turn away. I tried to leave. His hand closed around my arm. Not hard. Not yet. But firm enough. Do not walk away from me, he said. I am not finished. The room went quiet. The music kept playing. But everything else stopped. And in that silence, with his hand on my arm, and my past unraveling in front of strangers, I felt it again. That warning. That sense of wrongness. Something was about to happen. And I knew. Whatever came next would change everything. His fingers tightened around my arm. Not enough to bruise yet. Enough to remind me I was trapped. The woman in red watched with open amusement. Her eyes glittered like she had paid to be entertained. Around us, people leaned closer, pretending not to stare. Pretending this was not exactly what they wanted. Marcus smiled. Slow. Cruel. Satisfied. You always had this look, he said. Like you were better than everyone else. Funny how life corrected that. I swallowed. My throat burned. I could feel my pulse in my ears. Let go, I said, my voice low. Steady only because I forced it to be. He did not. Instead, his thumb pressed into the inside of my arm. Claiming. Displaying. See? He continued. This is what happens when you get ideas above your station. You disappear. You fade. And people like me move on. The woman laughed again. She circled me like a predator. Her perfume suffocating. I thought you would at least glow up. She said. All this drama for this. Something inside me twisted. Not just shame. Anger. Hot and sharp. I tried to pull away. His grip tightened. Do not embarrass yourself. Marcus said. You already have done enough of that. My vision blurred. Faces melted into a single watching mass. Every instinct screamed run. But there was nowhere to go. He leaned closer. Lowered his voice. So only I could hear. I paid your bills. He said. I carried you. And this is how you repay me. Serving drinks like you were born for it. That broke something. You never paid for me. I said. You paid to own me. There is a difference. His smile vanished. Just for a moment. Then his hand jerked harder. Careful. He warned. You forget who has power here. The room felt smaller. Air thick. Heavy. People were silent now. No one intervened. No one helped. This was not their problem. The woman stepped closer. Her voice dripping with delight. Marcus, she said. You should thank her. Seeing her like this makes everything clearer. Marcus laughed. Loud. Unrestrained. She is right. He said. I dodged a disaster. My chest ached. Tears threatened. But I refused to give them that. I tried to turn my head away. He yanked me back. Do not look away. He said. Look at what you became. The humiliation was complete. Public. Undeniable. Then something shifted. Not a sound. Not a movement. Something deeper. The air changed. Pressure building. Like a storm rolling in without warning. Marcus felt it too. I saw it in the way his grip loosened slightly. In the way his smile faltered. The crowd parted. Not pushed. Not instructed. Instinct. A presence moved through the room. Heavy. Controlled. Unavoidable. I felt it before I saw him. A chill that had nothing to do with fear. Marcus turned his head. His face drained of color. His hand slipped from my arm. And in that moment, with my humiliation hanging in the... with every eye watching, I knew. Whatever was approaching was not here to watch. It was here to end this. The room did not move. But it felt like it stopped breathing. Music still played somewhere distant. But no one was listening anymore. Every instinct in my body screamed danger. Not the frantic kind. The quiet, heavy kind that settled in your chest and warned you to stay very still. Marcus took a half step back. He did not seem to realize he had done it. The woman in red stopped smiling. Her hand slid off his arm as if she suddenly did not want to be connected to him. The crowd shifted. Not toward us. Away. People created space without knowing why. Like animals sensing a predator before it strikes. I felt exposed. Standing there with my arm still burning where his hand had been. My heart pounding so loudly, I was sure others could hear it. I wrapped my arms around myself. A useless attempt at protection. Then the scent reached me. Dark, rich, expensive. Leather smoke, something dangerous. It did not belong to this room. Footsteps followed. Measured. Unhurried. Each one landing with quiet certainty. Marcus swallowed. I saw his throat work. His eyes fixed on something behind me. I turned slowly. The man walking toward us did not rush. He did not need to. The room bent around him. People stepping aside instinctively. As if refusing would be a mistake they would regret. He was younger than I expected. Early 30s, maybe. But age did not define him. Power did. His suit was black, perfectly fitted. Not flashy, not trying. It simply belonged on him. Like a second skin. Dark hair brushed back. Dark eyes that absorbed light rather than reflected it. Eyes that did not scan the room. They assessed. 2 men followed him. Both built like walls. Both watching everything. But it was the man in front who held the air hostage. He stopped a few feet away. Close enough that I could feel the gravity of him. Close enough that Marcus visibly stiffened. Those eyes flicked to my arm. To the faint red marks already forming. Then they lifted to Marcus. "You are hurting her." The voice was calm. Soft almost. But it cut through the silence sharper than any shout. Marcus opened his mouth. Closed it. "We were just talking," he said. The lie sounded pathetic even to him. The man stepped closer. Just one step. "It became my business the moment you touched her." The woman in red took a step back. Her face pale. Her earlier confidence evaporated. Marcus laughed weakly, trying to regain control. "I do not know who you think you are." I was not asking. The words landed with finality. The man did not raise his voice. Did not gesture. Did not threaten. He did not have to. The guard to his right shifted slightly. Just enough. Marcus flinched. "Apologize." The command was simple. Absolute. Marcus stared. His pride battled fear. Fear was winning. "To her," the man added. Silence stretched. The room waited. I felt something unfamiliar bloom inside me. Not hope. Not relief. Safety. Marcus exhaled sharply. "I am sorry," he said quickly. Too quickly. The man tilted his head. "Not sincere. Try again." Marcus broke. "I am sorry," he said louder. "I am sorry, Emma." The sound of my name in that moment felt different. Less like a weapon. More like surrender. The man held Marcus' gaze for a long breath. Then he looked at me. Just for a second. And in that second, everything shifted. Because I knew, without understanding how, that whatever he was, whatever world he came from, I was no longer invisible. The apology hung in the air. Thin, fragile. Barely holding together. Marcus stood rigid. His shoulders tense. His face stripped of every trace of arrogance. The man did not speak right away. He simply looked at him. A long, steady look that felt like judgment. I could feel it, even though it was not directed at me. The weight of attention. The promise of consequences. The room stayed silent. No one dared to move. No one dared to interrupt. Then the man spoke again. "You will leave." His voice did not rise. It did not need to. "You will leave now. You will not look at her again. You will not speak her name. You will forget she exists." Marcus nodded too fast. "Yes. Of course." The woman in red reached for his arm. But he shook her off. His fear stronger than whatever pride he had left. "We are going," he muttered. They turned quickly, almost tripping over each other as they pushed through the crowd. No laughter followed. No comments, just the sound of hurried footsteps retreating. People looked away, suddenly interested in their drinks, their phones, anything but me. The danger passed as quickly as it arrived, but the echo of it remained. My legs trembled, the adrenaline draining out of me all at once. I swayed, just slightly. The man noticed. He stepped closer, not threatening, not crowding. Are you hurt? The question was quiet, concerned. I shook my head. I did not trust my voice. His eyes softened. Just a fraction. He reached out slowly, gave me time to pull away. His fingers brushed my arm where Marcus had grabbed me. Gentle, careful. You will bruise, he said. Something in his tone made my throat tighten. I am fine. I managed. You are shaking. I had not realized I was. He shrugged off his jacket. Heavy, expensive, and placed it around my shoulders. Warmth surrounded me. His scent, dark, unfamiliar, intoxicating. Sit. It was not a request. My knees gave in before my pride could argue. I lowered onto a nearby chair. The world spinning. A server appeared and took the tray from my hands. Disappeared just as fast. The man crouched in front of me, bringing himself to my level. What is your name? Emma. It sounded smaller than I remembered. Emma. He repeated. He said it like it mattered. I am Dante. The name fit him. Dark. Controlled. Unavoidable. Thank you, I whispered, for protecting what should never have needed protection. He stood, straightened. The room seemed to breathe again, now that he moved. He turned to one of the men behind him. She is done for the night. Full pay. The man nodded immediately. I opened my mouth to protest, but Dante looked back at me, and the words vanished. You are safe now. Safe. The words settled into me slowly, like something forgotten. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a card. Simple. Heavy. If anyone bothers you, you call this number. I took it with trembling fingers. I do not understand. You do not need to. He leaned closer, lowered his voice. You were not meant to be invisible. Then he stepped away, turning as the crowd parted once more. I watched him leave, his presence pulling the room back into motion. Only when he was gone, only when the door closed behind him, did I realize. The jacket was still on my shoulders, the card still in my hand, and my life, quiet, invisible, fragile, had just been claimed by something powerful and dangerous and impossible to ignore. The jacket felt heavier once I was outside, not in weight, in meaning. Snow drifted down, softly blurring the lights of the city. The cold should have bitten through the fabric, but it did not. His warmth clung to me, stubborn and intimate. I walked to my car slowly, every step unsteady. My hands shook as I unlocked the door. Inside, the silence pressed in. Too loud. Too empty. I sat there for a long moment, staring at the steering wheel. The card lay in my palm. Simple. Black. Just a number. No name. No explanation. My phone buzzed with a message from the catering manager. You're cleared to leave with full pay. Thank you for tonight. Tonight. As if what happened could be reduced to a shift. I drove home through streets wrapped in Christmas lights. Everything looked softer than it should have. Unreal. My apartment greeted me with familiar creaks. The faint smell of old coffee. The radiator knocking like an exhausted heartbeat. I hung the jacket over the back of my chair. It looked wrong there. Too elegant. Too powerful. I stood in the middle of the room, unsure what to do with myself. The adrenaline faded. leaving behind exhaustion and something else. Something dangerous. Memory flooded. Marcus' hand on my arm. His voice laughing. The crowd watching. Then Daunt. The way the room had shifted. The way his voice did not need volume to command. I rubbed my arm, where bruises were already forming. Dark shapes blooming under the skin. Sleep did not come. I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling. Every sound too sharp. Every thought circling back to him. Why had he intervened? Why me? Men like that did not do things without reason. Morning light crept through the blinds pale and thin. The jacket still hung there watching. I told myself it had been coincidence. A wealthy guest with a conscience. Nothing more. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. My breath caught. My thumb hovered. I answered. Miss Emma. The voice was male-controlled polite. This is James, calling on behalf of Mr. Morty. My heart stuttered. Mr. Morty. He wanted to ensure you arrived home safely last night. I sank onto the edge of the bed. Yes. I said. I am fine. Excellent. He also asked me to inform you that his jacket will be collected this afternoon, if that is convenient. Someone will arrive at 2. I glanced at the clock. My apartment. My messy kitchen. My reality. How do you know where I live? A pause. Mr. Morty has access to certain resources. He hopes this does not alarm you. It should have. Instead, something warm and unsettling unfurled in my chest. 2 is fine. I heard myself say. The line disconnected. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of cleaning. Wiping surfaces that did not need wiping. Folding blankets that were already neat. I cared. I hated that I cared. At exactly 2, there was a knock. One of the men from the party stood outside. Tall, broad, expressionless. He scanned the apartment briefly. Professional. I handed him the jacket. My fingers lingered a second longer than necessary. He nodded. Mr. Morty also asked me to give you this. He held out a small black box. I shook my head. I cannot accept that. It would be rude to refuse. The words were calm. Final. The door closed behind him before I could respond. I stared at the box for a long time. Then I opened it. Inside was a phone. New. Expensive. Nothing like mine. Beneath it a note. So I can reach you, and you can reach me. One contact was already saved. Daunt. The phone vibrated. A message appeared. Did you sleep? I stared at the screen. Every instinct screamed stop. Instead I typed. Not really. The response came instantly. Neither did I. I felt it then. That shift. That pull. This was not over. It was only beginning. The next days lost their shape. Time stretched and folded around his presence. Messages came without warning. Short. Direct. Impossible to ignore. Did you eat? You should sleep more. Tell me when you get home. They were not questions. They were expectations. I told myself I could stop replying. That I owed him nothing. I never did. Flowers arrived at my door. Not roses. Dark, unfamiliar blooms with heavy petals. They filled my small apartment with a scent that did not belong there. The catering company called. Their tone suddenly respectful. Almost nervous. You have been granted paid leave for the rest of the month. A generous client insisted. I sat on my couch staring at the wall. Understanding without needing confirmation. Daunt. I should have been angry. Should have felt controlled. Instead, I felt relief. Pure shameful relief. No shifts. No aching feet. No counting tips. He texted again. Dinner tonight. 7. I stared at the message. My chest tight. Where? A pause. Then. I will send a car. My heart beat harder. Faster. I spent an hour changing clothes. Everything I owned felt wrong. Too cheap. Too small. I chose a simple black dress. Clean. Unassuming. At exactly 7, a knock came. The man at the door was older. Kind eyes. Soft voice. Miss Emma. I am Marco. Mr. Morty sent me. The car outside was black. Silent. Waiting. The city changed as we drove. My streets faded. Cleaner buildings rose. Lights brighter. Air heavier. We passed gates. Security. Long driveways. The house waited at the end. Not loud. Not grand. Controlled. Inside everything whispered money. Power. Order. A woman greeted me. Elegant. Composed. Welcome, Miss Emma. She led me through rooms that did not feel real. Until we reached the dining room. He stood by the window. Hands in his pockets. Dark shirt sleeves rolled. Tattoo ink peeking at his wrist. He turned. Emma. My name sounded different when he said it. Like it belonged somewhere new. You came. You did not give me much choice. A slow smile. Predatory. You always have a choice. I knew that was not true. Dinner passed like a dream. Food I barely tasted. Wine that loosened my tongue. He listened. Really listened. I told him things I never planned to say. About debt. About loneliness. About how tired I was of surviving. When I stopped, he took my hand. Warm. Steady. You are stronger than you know. I asked him who he was. He smiled without humor. Someone who solves problems. The days after blurred together. Restaurants where people watched him carefully. Cars that waited. Men who checked rooms. His hand always at my back. Claiming. Protecting. He texted constantly. Checked on me. Controlled my orbit without asking permission. And I let him. Because being wanted felt better than being invisible. Because when he looked at me, I existed fully. Still something dark crept in at the edges. Italian conversations he stepped away to take. Tension in his shoulders. Men who lowered their eyes around him. I told myself not to ask. Then I saw her again. The woman in red. At a grocery store of all places. Her smile was cruel. Victorious. She had pictures. She had threats. And when fear wrapped around my throat, Dante appeared. Like he always did. Too fast. Too precise. That was when the truth pressed closer. Heavy. Inevitable. I was not just being protected. I was being watched. And somewhere deep inside, I knew. Once someone like him chose you, there was no returning to invisibility. I did not sleep that night. Not after the grocery store. Not after the way Dante appeared without warning. Not after the look in his eyes when he shattered her phone and ended the threat like it was nothing. You are safe, he had said. But safety should not feel this heavy. Morning came gray and slow. My phone sat on the nightstand like a living thing. Watching. A message arrived before I could think. Come with me today. You deserve the truth. My chest tightened. This time, there was no illusion of choice. The car arrived mid-morning. Marco greeted me with the same calm smile. But there was tension beneath it now. Like a storm waiting. We did not go to his house. We went downtown. To a building that looked ordinary from the outside. Glass steel professional. Inside, everything changed. Men nodded as Dante passed. Not friendly. Not casual. Respect edged with fear. The elevator required a card. Then another code. The office at the top was cold and elegant. Dark wood, leather chairs, a desk too clean to be ordinary. Dante poured 2 glasses, set one in front of me. Sit. I obeyed. You want to know who I am? He said. You want to know why things happen around you? I nodded. My hands shook. My family came from Sicily. He began. 3 generations ago. His voice was steady, detached. They brought traditions, loyalty, and a way of surviving when the world does not protect you. He spoke of his father, his grandfather, an empire built quietly, violently. When they died, murdered, I inherited everything. The word settled between us. Everything. I run legitimate businesses. He continued. On paper. Then he looked at me fully. Off paper. I control territory. I protect interests. I remove threats. My breath caught. You are a criminal. I whispered. I am a man who does what courts cannot, who enforces order where laws fail. I stood abruptly. The room tilted. This is insane. You are insane. Perhaps. He stepped closer. Slow. Unavoidable. I have killed men. He said. Ordered deaths. Ended lives. My stomach turned. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked. Because I will not build anything with you on lies. With me. The words echoed. You chose me. I said, my voice barely holding. At the party. He did not deny it. I noticed you before that night. He admitted. I watched. I learned. Cold washed over me. The rescue was not random. No. Fear and something darker twisted together inside my chest. I should leave. You could. He said calmly. But you will not. He lifted my chin. Forced me to meet his eyes. Because despite knowing what I am, you still feel this. He leaned in. Close enough that I felt his breath. And because once I claim something, I do not release it. I pulled away. My heart racing. I am not yours. Not yet. The honesty terrified me. I walked to the window. Stared at the city below. So small. So fragile. You turned my life upside down. I said. You were drowning. He replied. I pulled you out. You wrapped chains around me. Chains made of silk still bind. I turned back to him. Anger, fear, desire all tangled. What do you want from me? His smile was dark. Possessive. Everything. My time. My presence. My loyalty. And if I say no? He considered me. Really considered. Then I will let you go. And protect you from a distance. And regret it for the rest of my life. He stepped closer again. But you will not say no. Because you already crossed the line. And deep down, I knew. The truth was not that he was dangerous. It was that I wanted him. Knowing exactly what he was. And there would be a price to pay. The city did not feel the same after that. Every street looked watched. Every shadow felt intentional. I stayed at his house more often. Not because he asked. Because leaving felt harder. Guards appeared where there had been none before. Cars followed us at a careful distance. Dante never explained. He did not have to. Danger lived in his silence. At night I lay awake beside him, listening to his breathing. Strong, steady. A predator at rest. I told myself I was not afraid. That I had chosen this. Then the warning came. It started with a message. Not to my phone, but to his. Dante went still when he read it. Too still. What is it? I asked. Nothing, he said too quickly. That was when I knew. Something had crossed a line. The next morning, the house filled with voices. Men speaking Italian fast sharp. Weapons checked openly. I stood at the top of the stairs watching. My stomach twisting. Dante emerged from his office. Blood on his knuckles. His jaw tight. Emma upstairs now. I did not argue. Fear moved my feet. When he came to me later, his hands framed my face. His touch almost desperate. They are testing me, he said. Using you. My chest tightened. I am the weakness. I said. You are the reason. He corrected. There is a difference. That night the attack came. Not loud. Not dramatic. Calculated. A car tried to force ours off the road. Gunfire shattered glass. I was pulled down. Covered. Shielded. Dante did not shout. Did not panic. He commanded. And his men responded. When it was over, the silence was worse. You are leaving, he said. Not a request. No, I said, my voice breaking. I will not run while you bleed. He grabbed my shoulders. Hard. I cannot think if you are in danger. I cannot fight distracted. So you will go somewhere safe. And I will end this. What does that mean? I asked. It means no one will try again. I packed without seeing what I touched. My hands numb. He watched me. His eyes dark. Burning. Promise me. He said. Promise me you will not disappear. I swallowed. I promise. The safe house was deep in the woods. Quiet. Isolated. Guards everywhere. Silence heavy. Days passed slowly. Dante called morning and night. Are you safe? Yes. I miss you. I did not say it back. But I felt it. On the 5th morning, engines woke me. Too many. Shouting. Gunshots. My heart slammed. The door exploded inward. Men rushed in. Armed. Smiling. Dante little prize. One of them said. I did not freeze. I fought. I ran. Cold tore my lungs. Branches cut my skin. I hid. Shaking. Breath locked in my chest. Then I heard him. Dante. His voice cut through the forest. Find her now. A hand grabbed me. A gun pressed to my head. Dante appeared. Fury incarnate. Let her go, he said. The gun fired. Not from the man holding me. From Dante men. Chaos. Gunfire. Bodies falling. Then arms around me. Emma. He breathed. I have you. I clung to him. Shaking. Take me home. I whispered. He held my face. Once we do, there is no going back. I looked into his eyes. Saw truth. Saw darkness. Saw devotion. I have been yours since the night you saw me. He lifted me. Carried me away. And I knew. The price of protection was surrender. And I was ready to pay it. The world slowed after the forest. Not because danger was gone, but because it had been named. Dante brought me back to the house. Our house. With a silence that pressed into the walls. Guards doubled. Doors locked. Phones rang and rang. I watched him from a distance. The way men deferred to him. The way fear bent around his presence. At night he held me. Not possessive. Not demanding. Just there. Like if he let go, I would disappear. Days passed. Then weeks. Spring crept in quietly. As if afraid of what lived inside those walls. I learned how his world worked without asking. Men came and did not leave. Names stopped being spoken. Threats vanished. One evening, I found him in the garden, standing alone, watching the city. "You are quiet," I said. He did not turn. "It is finished." I felt relief. Then something colder. "Finished how?" He faced me then, eyes dark, honest. "My cousin. The men who came for you. They are gone. Gone. No more danger. No more messages. No more warnings." The finality settled deep. "You planned the party," I said softly. His jaw tightened, but he did not deny it. "Marcus' humiliation. The timing. The way you arrived. You wanted him to show himself." "Yes." My breath caught. "You knew he would hurt me." "I knew he would reveal himself." He said. "Men like him always do." Anger flared. Sharp. Brief. "You used me." He stepped closer. "I chose you." Long before that night, the truth landed heavy. "I saw you weeks before. Working. Quiet. Enduring." He lifted my chin. "Invisible women survive everything. I wanted to give you a world where you did not have to. You orchestrated my breaking. I orchestrated your freedom." Silence stretched. "You could hate me," he continued, "but you are alive. Safe. And no one will ever touch you again." I searched his face. For regret. For apology. There was none. Only certainty. "I should leave." I said. "You will not." He was right. Because despite everything, despite manipulation and blood and control, I was not afraid. I was seen. That night he knelt in the garden. Not to beg. Not to soften. But to claim. A ring. Emerald dark and deep. Surrounded by light. "Marry me," he said. "Make this permanent. This is not a question." I laughed. Soft. Broken. "You never ask." "I never need to." I thought of the girl at the party. Invisible. Humiliated. I thought of the woman who ran through the woods. Who fought. Who survived. I thought of the monster in front of me. Who loved like destruction. And protected like devotion. "Yes," I said. His breath left him slowly. "Good." He slid the ring onto my finger. Stood. Pulled me into him. "Mine." He whispered. "Yours." I answered. The city glowed below us. Unaware. Unchanged. I had walked into that party unseen. Unprotected. I walked out claimed. Not rescued. Chosen. Some cages are not prisons.